A very interesting presentation. It's talking about harnessing technology for effective governance by Mr. Rajat Ganguly, Regional Lead North and East State and Local Government AWS. A huge round of applause for Mr. Rajat Ganguly.
Thank you. So I heard in the morning session DigiLocker, I heard Covin, I heard Arogya Sethi. So there is a lot of cloud component in that, right? So half of my thing is done, and anyway we are I'm standing between you and lunch. And I also heard from you, sir, specifically the use of the word hyperscale and hyperscaler. In fact, by the way, that's what Gartner calls us. So we are I'm not the only one, with all modesty. We are one of the hyperscalers globally who provides cloud services. So the other technical half is also done. So thank you so much. I'm going off. Anyway, jokes apart, thank you for the it's an honor and a privilege to be coming here and standing in front of you. So my wife is from Assam, from Guwahati. So it's sasural for me. So thank you so much. We have so there are three of us. There will not be time to take questions. We are here for the entire day till evening. So Alok leads our technical team in AWS. I am from the sales side, and there is Sudipto Ghosh who takes care of East, right? So any questions, please feel free to come to us, and we would kind of take it as a privilege to talk about what we do and how things are changing. Okay. At times, nature reminds us of history, and it gives us a nudge to it's a wake-up call. At times, the wake-up calls are pretty rude and pretty violent, but it's up to us whether to take that as an opportunity and to learn from it, mend our mistakes, and go forward. So we were all talking about COVID, the virus that kind of wreaked havoc globally. That was one such nudge, and what it did is it brought into foray some bit of technology which people were kind of ignoring, were kind of not stressing upon, which is cloud. Why? Because during those times the entire supply chain was ruptured. Cities and countries had come to a standstill. So in that point of time, what do? Do you shut off everything and kind of forget and say that, so this is a shutdown, I'm not doing anything? As government agencies, as official, you have to keep your lamps on. You have to bring in more services. Why? Because the students, their career is in question mark, right? So their education should not be affected. Manufacturing, maybe not the other usual things that was going on, that can be kind of paused at the moment, but there is a different manufacturing that needs to be ramping up, right? We saw that there was a dearth of even basic masks. So cloud played a huge role in that. The other one, if I remember, was 9/11, right? Before 9/11, and personally to me, in my opinion, that was a rude wake-up call to all institutions and agencies to look at DR as an absolute mandate. Because if you remember 9/11, there are so many companies who did not even back up their data. In fact, Sarbanes-Oxley came into foray after 9/11, right? And thank God, at least in India, though we are the late catchers of technology, we had a long mile to go. But we did a fantastic job. We have to give it to them, right? No matter how much we crave in social media and badmouth our government and everything, but bureaucrats, politicians, they collectively did a fantastic job. I'll take an anecdote in that, and you will find me referring to a lot anecdote because I feel that is more relatable because and that will also kind of I'll leave with some thought after this 10 minutes. His Excellency Minister of External Affairs, I'm a great fan of his. So the other time that he comes up, other than batting for India for buying crude oil from Russia, which kind of takes up most of his time, I heard in one of the interviews he said that my son studies in US, and he and his wife kind of traveled to US to meet his son, and he said that we were crossing an airport, and the person, the TSI agent, they asked for the vaccination certificate. So Mr. Jaishankar said that I took out my phone and showed the soft copy. And his son, who is studying in the US, had to scout for the paper that he had kept. And he had to take out a hard copy and show it. That example talks a lot about the kind of miles that we have crossed, because that is, it's a solution, but there is a whole lot of other things that reside underneath, right? And it has to be secure because your identity is in question. So three things that there are a lot many, but three things that comes to my mind that are playing a huge role in these days, and especially that also kind of is helping navigate the bureaucrats and decision makers like you, sir, on the way forward, right? One is digital identity. That's here to stay. That is not going to go out. Emerging technologies. There are a lot many emerging technologies come out. In fact, you'll be surprised to know, people are, the car insurance company now are saying that if it's an autonomous car and has some bit of hybrid, the insurance premium is less compared to the ordinary polluting and diesel guzzlers which are driven by a human being. So vis-a-vis that would be, the insurance premium would be less. Why? Because they feel it's a safer car. And of course, how cloud plays a role. Now, in digital identity, it's basically four things. If you look at the center, it's basically these four things: entities, devices, people, and things, which kind of comes in the single platform and intermingles with each other, right? It can be an IoT device getting data, getting converted into IP, because at times those IoT doesn't work on IP, then coming and interacting with the personal identification of a human being and throwing up a result which kind of, people takes a decision. Is it insecure? Yes, of course it is. No shaming and admitting. See, we have to all admit, because I heard one of the speakers who said we should have our own cloud, we should not throw data. Data is very valuable. Data is extremely valuable. Data is gold. But who is the most secure person? The most secure person probably is someone who has a laptop and a desktop and all the plugs except for the power cable is pulled out. You are not connected. That's the most secure. Can you work that way? No, you can't. You need internet because you need internet, and there are so many other things that would be there using the internet, right? So that means there is some, again, vulnerability that comes, or some point comes where a lot of unholy forces come and kind of try to disturb you. There are a lot of services which are hosted somewhere, even if it's on-prem, it's hosted somewhere which you go and you kind of take those services. So with all those come in ports basically, which are open, through which vulnerability can be made use of by people who are up to some tricks. Right? We saw the grids coming down, and people say that it was a state attack that happened. So you, on one hand, you have to be there, but on the other hand, you cannot ignore the threats that are there. Right? And you have to work in sync with this. Now, when we are talking about this, you have to take logical decision and you have to take best steps which kind of guards and prevents those intrusions and kind of helps to make things secure. Going to the next one, and I'll not deep dive into it. I'll again use an anecdote. Have you heard of Digi Yatra, the platform which is coming up? So, sir, what Digi Yatra does is, you are entering an airport. So typically now what we do, and this is something which is very close to Alok here, my colleague. So Delhi airport is using it, Terminal T3. So you have to show your Aadhaar card or PAN card, which is typically the ID that we use, to the CIF. You show your boarding pass or the ticket, then you enter. Then again there is a checkpost. So there are multiple checkposts. What Digi Yatra does is, and it's already running, there are some, I think 4 or 5 airports which are using it. So you download that app, which is hosted on cloud, by the way, and we have a role to play in that. It connects and takes your credentials, be it Aadhaar or something, from DigiLocker. It takes so you scan your boarding pass and put it up there. It kind of syncs together and sees that, okay, and in Digi Yatra when you are logging, it takes a facial scan. Right? Typically, if you buy an iPhone and you have to take that picture, side profile, front profile, and then matches and then says, okay, this guy is a valid XYZ and he is traveling on this airline on this certain date. And then you just show that app, 30 seconds to go. You just show that app in the system which is there, the gates and all, and everything is open. There is no one scanning you, there is no one, I'll not say scanning you, there is no one who is blocking you and asking for all details, basic details. So that talks about technology where AI is used, ML is used. There is a whole lot of other things and everything within the envelope of security, right? Data lake is something that is coming up in a big way. Like police department in Delhi is planning to create a data lake. So that's a very recent example. They have not done it, they'll come up with a tender. So, I'm so sorry, just 2 more minutes, guys. So they are coming up with a data lake, and you know what they would do? All video files, all FIRs, general diaries, everything, all police station camera feedbacks, everything would be recorded in that data lake. And the advantage is what? Anyone who wants to take data out of it will just dip his finger in that data lake and take it out and use it and give it back. Right? So it's a common repository of storage files, data files and everything. This is something which is again going around, which is how geospatial is used for forest department, for agriculture, for land records, for creating digital twin of a city in 3D format. Right? So these are the 3 things that we use. One is, say, mankind view, how you see it through some probe or something on that land, which your vision is limited. Next is bird's eye view, which typically is a drone view, which is slightly higher than that. And the last is God's view, which is nothing but, excuse me, sorry if I'm sounding blasphemous, but it's just God's view. Why? Because it's a satellite picture. So if you just morph these 3 pictures and come up with a report that will give you exact data of how the state is or how the land is, how much encroachment has happened, how much deforestation has happened. There was a storm that went by. After that storm, what is the status of my cash crop? It may be something as, say, I used to have so many coconut trees. After the storm has passed, how many are left? That means I have to plant more. So there are multiple such uses, and you know Amazon, we use drone to drop off those Amazon packets to your doorstep, right? So getting that expertise, we kind of put it in here along with our partners to give you a technology and a solution which kind of benefits you. These are some basic mundane things that we do. I would not like to take much of time here, but one thing that I would like to leave as a thought is, see, one basic advantage that cloud brings to the table is immense capability of scaling. Scaling up, scaling down. Scaling up, this is a classic example of how things went up. So Covin was an app where we had a role to play. You know, the hits were tremendously high. It was billion hits in a single day. Can you take care of those kind of hits with infrastructure which is finite? Difficult. Not impossible, difficult. Similarly, Principal Secretary IT of Government of West Bengal is not here. You know what he did? Something fantastic. During COVID times, one of the departments in West Bengal, they say, I use your services. So the ticketing and everything was there, hosted in AWS. He said that I'm not using it because the entire transport system is down, right? It's COVID, it's a lockdown. So what do? I said, sir, switch it off. We will not charge you. So from a certain usage, it just came down to 0. So you benefit. For me, it's a business loss, but right? So but then ultimately we are giving that benefit to you. So you scale it down to 0. Then again, when slowly people started traveling, the lockdowns were eased, those were taken up. And everything over a phone call. Just simply over a phone call. So that's all that I have to say. Thank you so much. As I said, we are here. Any questions, anything that you want to know, it would be a privilege and an honor to kind of clarify. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for such an amazing presentation by Mr. Rajat. I would now like to invite Mr. Swapnil Paulji, IAS Director Department of IT Electronics, to please join us on the stage and give away the speaker memento. call once again to Mr. Rajat Ganguly, Regional Head North and East States and Local Government AWS. Thank you so much, sir.